Tonight, Ohio made a historic decision on whether or not to legalize marijuana.
That's right. Your voices were heard and Issue 3 did not pass. Marijuana is still legal for recreational and medical use here in Ohio.
Yeah, and we have the details on Issue 3 along with other statewide and local election results coming up on this Newswatch election special.
Like you said, guys, Katie and Catherine, it took the Ohio legislature almost 20 years to make any attempt to legalize marijuana. Like you said before, 65% of Ohioans voted against Issue 3 and 63% of Athens County residents said no to the issue. Tonight, states across the country had measures on the ballot seeking to reform marijuana laws. In Ohio, that measure was Issue 3, the Ohio Cannabis Rights Act. Now that Issue 3 failed, Ohio citizens will have to wait for the legalization of recreational and medical marijuana. Responsible Ohio Executive Director Ian James says that it could be a long time before another attempt to legalize marijuana would appear on the ballot.
If we don't pass Issue 3, it's going to be a long time before we have legalization. It took 19 years to get through to this point. The legislature has been focused on legalization for 19 years, and they failed to pass anything. Ohio could maybe legalize by 2020, maybe 2022, could be later than that. And folks like my mother-in-law with breast cancer, folks like Addison Benton with epilepsy, kids that have a chronic illness and family members, they shouldn't be told you've got to wait another 5 or 6 or 7 years.
Many residents in Southeast Ohio are for legalizing marijuana, but were not in favor of Issue 3. Eleanor Ahrens is president and founder of the Southeast Ohio branch of the National Organization for the Reform of Marijuana Laws. She's an advocate for legalizing medical marijuana, but she is happy that Issue 3 did not pass.
I don't have any confidence in the decision-making process that the people for Issue 3 would have to provide. They aren't doctors, they don't know anything about medical conditions. There's certain strains of certain weeds that are good for cancer, epilepsy, multiple sclerosis, and they don't know all these things.
Secretary of Normal Joe Brumfield also is in favor of legalizing marijuana to help his medical condition, but did not show support for Issue 3.
I have muscular dystrophy. There are people who have cancer, there are people who have, and they need concentrates of these medicines. 8 ounces is nothing.
Now, Issue 2, the anti-monopoly amendment, was created in direct response to Issue 3. It passed with 52% of the vote. Now, if Issue 3 had passed, the state legislature feared a monopoly would form. This fear was warranted by the fact that Issue 3 only allowed for 10 grow sites within the state. Issue 2 would have essentially prevented Issue 3 from taking place because if Issue 3 were passed, Issue 2 would not have allowed those 10 grow sites to legally grow marijuana. This is because the very act of those 10 sites growing marijuana would form a monopoly, which Issue 2 prevents. Although Issue 3 failed, Issue 2 still prevents anyone from proposing constitutional amendments for exclusive financial gain. It also bans anyone from proposing amendments that would grant a license not available to other similar entities. The Ohio Supreme Court has original exclusive jurisdiction in any action related to the proposal. The amendment will take effect immediately.
All right, well, thanks a lot, Josh. And so now we've touched on the statewide Issue 3, but there was a local marijuana issue that was on the ballot here in Logan. Sean Neidig, he is in the newsroom. So, Sean, this was a decriminalization, not legalization issue. Did this turn out any different than Issue 3?
Catherine, the ordinance would have reduced the penalties for all misdemeanor marijuana charges in the city of Logan, but just like Issue 3, this ordinance has failed. Now, the proposed ordinance would have reduced the penalties for all misdemeanor marijuana offenses to a $10 fine, including costs, and drivers would have no longer had their licenses suspended. Last week, I talked to Don Keeney, the spokesman for the Southeast Ohio branch of the National Organization for Reform of Marijuana Laws, about why they felt the need for this law.
Well, we feel that the punishment don't fit the crime. It's time to, and it's going on across the country, but we feel that this is something we can do locally.
Now, there is no word if the group will work to get the issue back on the ballot for next year, but for the time being, it looks like we'll be sticking to the status quo. From the WOUB newsroom, I'm Sean Neidig.
All right, thanks a lot, Shauna. We have more on the results that we're not gonna have time for tonight. So for the full results, you can go to our website at woub.org for all of your election needs.
Well, issues 2 and 3 have been hot topics on this ballot, but what about issue 1? Tonight, the results are in, and Ohio voters voted yes for the issue, which will change the process of Ohio's legislative lines will be drawn. But some voters are saying they're still confused on how this will affect them. Well, I spoke with political groups and state representatives to find the answers. Mayor districts and proper representation is the main focus for issue 1.
It focuses on keeping communities together. It focuses on creating a more transparent system, and it prohibits gerrymandering.
Gerrymandering is when voting districts are drawn to favor one political party over another. By voting yes for issue 1, Catherine Terser with Common Cause, a nonpartisan political advocacy group, says those sitting in the State House will be better representations of their communities.
Rigged districts, lead to rigged elections where voters feel like they don't have real choices because they don't. And it makes our elected officials feel less accountable to us.
Right now, there are a record number of Republican representatives in the House. Terser says this shows the imbalance in the district maps.
We are a 50-50 state. We are, we're the swingiest of the swing states. We're a purple state. And yet you would not know that looking at the Ohio State House.
Districts are drawn every 10 years once the U.S. Census is completed. Issue 1 would not change when the map is made, but how it is approved. Currently, district maps can be approved without the consent of the minority party. But with Issue 1, both Republicans and Democrats would have to agree on the map.
Issue 1, at its most basic, just sets up a process that's going to be more rational, and that's going to divide the districts up based on existing communities so that people can be better represented.
Also under Issue 1, map drawers must follow specific rules when it comes to drawing Ohio's legislative districts and keep communities intact.
The details matter when you're dealing with legal questions like this, and so Issue 1 is very clear. The first thing it says is that districts are going to be one contiguous area. You're not going to have little pieces that are disconnected but included in a district. It has to be drawn with a single line that doesn't cross over itself. So just very basically laying out, you will do it this way. You will make a district that makes sense.
Now, Issue 1 will not affect congressional districts. It only affects State House representatives. Both Republicans and Democrats in the Ohio State House endorsed Issue 1, and there was no major opposition. And Athens has historically been true to blue despite being surrounded by Republican counties. How community members feel about the continuing liberal future of Athens. That story when Newswatch Election Special returns.
And here's a look at some of the final results from local races. For a complete list of election results, visit our website, woub.org.
I decided to do a planned gift because I want to ensure that PBS will be around for my grandchildren and hopefully great-grandchildren. I would hope that others, when doing their estate planning, would include their PBS station. My PBS station is part of my community. That's something I really value.
Ohio University students really have a huge sense of pride in our campus, in our school, and in our education.
People don't come to Ohio just to go to college. They come here to become a Bobcat.
It's a really unique atmosphere.
Bobcat pride is having that natural camaraderie.
Bobcats are just happy to be Bobcats.
My favorite time of year at Ohio has to be homecoming.
When the alumni come back, you can see that the love of this university doesn't fade.
Once you're a Bobcat, you're always a Bobcat.
Welcome back to the Newswatch Weather Center. Today we saw lots of sunshine in Athens. Temperatures were actually well above average for this time of the year. For the first week of November, we're seeing temperatures in the mid-70s, which is very rare for this time of year. Highs today reached middle 70s across the board. 77 was our high in Athens, 76 up in New Lexington, as well as Cambridge, and 72 in New Martinsville. For tonight, though, we'll drop down into the middle 40s to lower 50s for most of the region. We will see clear skies, which will allow temperatures to drop much lower than we've seen the past couple of days. We'll start off tomorrow with clear skies as well. So if you head off to the bus stop in the morning, you'll see sunshine as you start your day on your Wednesday. Again, mostly clear skies for the majority of the day tomorrow. Bring the sweater as you head out to the bus stop in the morning. You won't need it on the ride home tomorrow afternoon. Tomorrow highs, though, we'll see temperatures just like today, a little bit, a degree or two cooler than today, though. 75 your high in Athens, 74 in Marietta, and 74 as well as New Lexington tomorrow. So again, another mild day will feature sunshine tomorrow, a few more clouds in the afternoon, but then temperatures fall off for the weekend as the cold front passes. Katie, back to you.
Thanks, Ann, and let's take another look at some local election results. Now Athens will see some familiar faces on City Council, along with one new one. Incumbents Jennifer Cochran and Peter Kostas took the majority votes, while Joan Kronansky lost her seat to a newcomer, Patrick McGee. Elections are all about choices, and historically one political party has dominated Athens. But some say they feel that their voices are limited in the democratic process. David Michael looks into challenges created by a one-sided political area.
Athens County has been dominantly Democratic for some time now. Despite being surrounded by a sea of red made up of Republican counties, Athens has remained true blue. 2015 shows no sign of change. Democratic mayoral candidate Steve Patterson runs unopposed. His only competition, former Republican mayor of Athens candidate 20-year-old Andrew Looker, dropped out of the race in July. Patterson says he misses the competition.
You know, at the time there was a student who was running against me, so it's like, this is cool. You know, this if nothing else, it'll get buzz going within the university.
Patterson isn't the only one in the Democratic community who misses the opposing viewpoint.
As we see in the Democratic primary, you know, you need a lot of voices out there to bring issues forward. And that's what the democratic process is about.
He's standing up for his own beliefs. He's not giving in and just kind of going Democrat because it happens to be more popular.
Democracy is built upon the idea of being free to express different opinions. Having such a powerful political party may be harming the constructive competition in Athens.
In a democracy, you need to have diversity and 2-3 parties. We need a Green Party in Athens.
Steve Patterson believes that democracy still thrives. It's just more about the policies than party affiliation in Athens.
Not everyone is full-on progressive. You know, we've got people who are pretty conservative and like the way the city is and don't want things to change.
Some residents don't want to see Athens change.
Partly why I live here is because of the mentality of the electorate. And
when you look at the rest of our state, this is a little pocket in the midst of a lot of red counties.
However, not everyone wants the trend to continue. Some Athenians seek change.
I think it would be really healthy to see some change. There hasn't been a Republican mayor for so long, so I think that it could be really helpful, and it's good to have diversity too.
Now, whether or not there will be change in the political spectrum here in Athens remains up to the voters. But tonight, voters chose to stick to the norm and elected a majority of Democratic officials, with only one independent.
The ballots have been counted in the 21 levy issues throughout Athens County, including those dealing with fire and emergency services. I spoke with Coolville Fire Chief John Cohen last week, and he told me the levies are vital to operating a fire department. The Troy Township levy, which includes the Coolville Fire Department, passed, and the renewal levies in Albany, Amesville Village, and Waterloo Township passed as well.
Hopefully that when it comes up, that they will read it and vote it back in, because if you don't, you know, it's the same with this township. You know, if we don't have a levy, we can't run. We don't have, when money runs out, we're done.
Roane Township also had an additional fire and emergency service levy on the ballot. It passed, winning over 60% of the vote. The levy will generate over $86,000. And what does the passing of Issue 2 mean for Ohioans? We have an expert with us to discuss its implications. That story when Newswatch returns.
And here's a look at the final results from some local races. For a complete list of election results, visit our website at woub.org.
Student body here at Ohio University absolutely is a family.
The students support one another.
You become this unit, this big, friendly family unit.
There's this connectedness.
You feel a part of something.
Driving in on the highway and just seeing the red bricks and the trees again, it's just like coming back home.
There's great students, great professors.
You just walk around campus and think, oh my gosh, I can't believe I go here.
I feel like I matter in the community, and I feel like I matter here at Ohio University.
It's home. Athens is home. My professors really care. They care about my grades, they care about my opportunities, they care about my experiences, they want me to succeed.
They give those opportunities to the students.
My professors have been extremely approachable.
Literally, their door is always open. You can go to them with pretty much anything. Everyone knows your first and your last name and where you sit in the classroom.
I really never feel like I'm being talked down to or just being taught material. I always feel like we're having a conversation.
And they want to share those opportunities and those experiences with us.
While statewide issues have been hot topics, local races seem to be on the back burner. These races have some with no candidates. The village of Chansey had no council candidates, meaning there will be 2 vacant seats on the council at the end of this term. And voters in Zaleski went to the polls to find the mayoral candidate slot empty as well. We'll discuss what these results mean to local government. But before that, let's get to issues 2 and 3. They've gained national attention these past couple of weeks. And we have Ohio University professor and local government expert Thomas Suddes with us here. And so, first off, thank you so much for being here tonight.
My pleasure.
So, what does this really mean, issues 2 and 3, with issue 3 passing, or pardon me, not passing and issue 2 passing, what does it mean for Ohio voters?
Well, I think it means, among other things, and I'm not a lawyer, that issue 2's passage means that an issue like issue 3 will be very hard to place on the ballot again, or if it is on the ballot and it does get passed by the voters, for it to take effect. In some respects, issue 2 is having passed as a kind of fail-safe for these kinds of issues that people claim impose a monopoly on, some good or service or privilege.
So do you think that marijuana legalization will be on the next ballot?
I don't know if it'll be on the next ballot or not. What I do think is that I think it's going to start a conversation among Ohioans about medical marijuana for sure. I think that to the extent people were in favor of issue 3, many of them who were in favor of it were concerned about access for people who were ill or in chronic pain and so forth, for access to medical marijuana. And I think that I suspect there'll be some attempt to fashion a reasonable, fair, and equitable plan for that, but you never know.
Definitely. So if it's on the next ballot, do you think that this amendment will resemble that of Responsible Ohio?
Well, that I don't know, because I think one of the things that we need to all consider is with medical marijuana, whatever its salubriousness or its effectiveness are, you'd have to be able to guarantee the ingredients are effective and they're safe and so forth. So it may be, ironically, you may have to have a major drug company be the purveyor of this, and in a way you could argue that's a different kind of monopoly, I suppose. But I think that people of goodwill are probably ready to sit down and reason together about this whole subject, I think. And I think that's one of the effects of issue 3 being on the ballot.
All right, so now kind of switching gears here, there's been a lack of candidates in local elections. I mean, we saw it in Athens County. What do you think this means for voters, local voters?
Well, I think debating, I think 2 parties are checks and balances on each other. And I think one way the government is more efficient is when someone is watching, preferably a political opponent. And so I think to that extent, if there were more competition, there might be more efficiency. I can't say for sure. That's my opinion, though.
All right. Well, Professor Suddes, thank you so much for being here tonight.
It's
always a pleasure to sit down and talk with you.
Thank you so much.
All right. And a recap of the state issues when Newswatch election returns. And then here's another look at the final results from some of the local races. For a complete list of election results, visit our website at woub.org.
University students really have a huge sense of pride in our campus, in our school, and in our education.
People don't come to Ohio just to go to college. They come here to become a Bobcat.
It's a really unique atmosphere.
Bobcat pride is having that natural camaraderie.
Bobcats are just happy to be Bobcats.
My favorite time of year at Ohio has to be homecoming.
When the alumni come back, you can see that the love of this university doesn't fade.
Once you're a Bobcat, you're always a Bobcat.
The student body here at Ohio University absolutely is a family.
The students support one another.
You become this unit, this big, friendly family unit.
There's this connectedness.
You feel a part of something.
Driving in on the highway and just seeing the red bricks and the trees again, it's just like coming back home.
There's great students, great professors.
You just walk around campus and think, oh my gosh, I can't believe I go here.
I feel like I matter in the community, and I feel like I matter here at Ohio University.
It's home. Athens is home.
As you head out the door tomorrow, it will be a cool start to the day, so bring the jacket with you if you're headed off to the bus stops. The 7-day forecast, though, looks to be nice. 2 more days of nice weather, mid-70s for Wednesday and Thursday. Friday's when the change comes. We'll see a rain associated with a cold front that pushes through the area. Temperatures bump down to 70 on Friday, and then we'll see a nice fall weekend. Temperatures only in the 50s with lows in the 30s. Katie, back to you.
Thanks, Ann. And you probably drive past a number of cemeteries every day, but who takes care of them and how are those people paid? Well, 3 local county townships voted today on whether or not to fund maintenance for these cemeteries. Erica King has more on this issue.
Keep the customers and everybody happy that pays their money. They're paying good money for a reason. So.
Jeremy Ziegler, who works to keep cemeteries clean, has been doing this job since May. He works every day blowing leaves, cleaning up trash, and making sure the cemetery is clean for people that come to pay respects to loved ones. Ames, York, and Bern townships are asking voters to provide funding so people like Jeremy can keep their jobs. York and Ames Township voters voted on a $2 million additional levy for cemetery maintenance today, and $1 million for Bern Township. President of Athens County Trustee Association, Ted Linscott, says the levy is necessary.
Townships, they have the ability through Ohio Revised Code to put a separate levy on for maintenance of cemeteries, so they're not having to take money from the road fund, the road and bridge fund, or those kind of funds, to maintain the cemetery.
Ziegler hopes the people he's developed relationships with get to see the cemeteries remain clean.
I've met a few cool people, and sometimes when they come in, they'll still come over and talk to me like we've known each other for a long time, and I just met them, so they're pretty cool people. And when somebody who's older and not able to necessarily carry all of the peonies and stuff, that right now we'll have people come in, and then you see them carrying a little tiny bit at a time, so I just go over and help them and throw it in the truck or whatever I need to do and get rid of it for them, because they've done paid their money. They might as well have a little help with the stuff that they do, and I don't mind helping.
Reporting for WOUB News, I'm Erica King.
The cemetery maintenance levy passed for Bern Township. We're still waiting for results of York and Ames Township. And from weed to monopolies, Ohio residents went to the polls to vote.
Here's one last look at how the results of the state issue shook out. Again, voters have rejected a ballot measure that would have made Ohio the first state to make marijuana legal for both recreational and medical use in a single stroke. Issue 3 went down in Athens with 63% voting no. And for issue 2, Ohio voters have approved the measure to prevent monopolies from being inserted into the state constitution. Issue 2 aims to keep individuals or private economic interests from placing new monopolies, cartels, or oligopolies into the Ohio Constitution for their own benefit.
And tonight, issue 1 won by a landslide. The issue changes the way Ohio's legislative maps are drawn and approved. Map drawers will have to follow specific rules when drawing the maps, such as creating one contiguous area and keeping communities together. Also, the maps must be approved by the minority party in an effort to make sure that they do not favor one political party over another. And voters in Athens turned out in droves this election. The most recent election in May of this year, voter turnout was almost 6%. That election was a special primary election. This year, turnout was unofficially around 35%. And here's one last look at results from some local races.
Yes, I can, no problem. No problem, you guys have a great night.
And that does it for tonight's election night edition of Newswatch. Thanks for watching. I'm Katie Anderson.
And I'm Catherine Blaine. Be sure to check in with WOUB Radio and WOUB.org throughout the evening for updates to any of the close races. And of course, tune in to our Newswatch episode tomorrow night. Have a great night.